everyone. My name is Alyssa Mwenola-Pembe, and I'm the Senior Director for Early Learning Program Accreditation. So I'm here today to talk to you about something we've been hearing a lot about from your calls, from your emails, from our experiences with you out in the field. The thing that we know that you are really wanting more information about is creating your portfolios. So when we are answering your calls and your emails, when you're calling in, we know that portfolios are something that you all really want some more information about. So I wanted to start off my very first 5 things to know about with Alyssa to talk about creating portfolios. So before I came to NAEYC, I was a center director, like many of you are. And I went through NAEYC accreditation a few times. One of the things that I learned during that time was how to streamline my portfolio creation process. So I wanted to share some of the tips and tricks that I learned through my experience with you all. Some of these things you might already know because you've been doing this for a while. Some might be new, but I hope that we can give you some new information or remind you of some things that maybe you forgot about, and help you to have a successful portfolio completion that will lead to a successful accreditation visit. The whole team here at Early Learning Program Accreditation here at NAEYC really wants to see you be successful in your accreditation journey. We're here to support you. We're here to offer tools and resources, and we're really here to be your partner through this process. So here's what I have to offer when it comes to creating portfolios. And I will say that a lot of you I know are going through the process of taking your old portfolios from the old system and transitioning them to the new 2019 standards. And what I'll just give you all as some advice for someone who's done that before, just start new portfolios, because you are going to spend a lot of time and energy trying to make things fit that just don't fit anymore. One of the great things that happened with the streamlined accreditation standards are that we got rid of a lot of things that just aren't useful or helpful. We've also taken out tons of indicators that in the past you had to provide evidence over and over and over again. You don't have to do that anymore. So I know it's going to feel like a lot. Start from scratch. And these tips I'm going to give you are going to help you to create a new system for your portfolio creation that's going to help just make it so much easier for you as you go forward. So the first tip I would offer is to start early. I know, I've been on the calls with you all and you're like, Alyssa, we have an accreditation visit coming. We have to make these portfolios. I can't start early. I get it. Use the rest of the tips I have to offer. For those of you that have a couple of years until your reaccreditation, or maybe you're just starting the process for the first time, give yourself enough time to do this and not have to rush. The portfolio creation process can be a great learning experience for you and your staff at your center. So linger there. Let it take time. From my experience, the best portfolio work that we did took about a year. That way, we were able to take one standard every month and just dig deep and focus on it. Then, after 10 months, you've got everything completed, and you can use the last 2 months to go back, edit, discuss things that maybe you missed before, fill in the blanks, and relax. The second tip I'd offer is to create a team. The director's work is enormous. You all know this. You're doing this work. You need support. So that can look a lot of different ways. At my center, we first of all decided we would take some teachers who had some great skills around organizing, were great at technology, and we really gave them some leadership opportunities to be the point person for their age group's portfolio creation. That way, I wasn't having to check in with classrooms and manage those creation processes. I had somebody right there with them that could help talk them through that. And then I supported those folks. So if you've got staff that have those skill sets, Ask them for help. They want to be helpful in this process. The other thing that you can do is do some shared portfolios across age groups. Now with provisional accreditation, that's something we're asking for. So some of you all are already working on that, but it's something you can always do. So what that looked like in our program was that everyone would share evidence for a standard, and then the point person would sort through it and make sure that everything met that standard and that it was the best evidence possible. That way, we were still offering great evidence that was across all classrooms, representative of all the classrooms, and it was all in one place. You might have other administrative staff that can help you with your program portfolio as well. I know in my program, I had some receptionists, I had some assistant directors that could help me to do that. So bring them in. They know the policies. They know the things about the building that can be really helpful in this process. But I know some of you don't have support staff. You might be by yourself. You're a director and you have teachers in your building. I've been in those situations too. At that point, reach out to your families. They're a great resource. They know your program, they love your program, and they want you to be successful with NAEYC accreditation. So let them help. They can help pull pictures off of drives. They can help print things off. They can help pull things together. And think about all the things they're going to learn about the practices that you do in the classroom and all the knowledge that they're going to build about how they can support their child even better at home. Third tip is get the right equipment. I have created portfolios where I had almost no technology, and I've created portfolios where I had lots of technology. I don't think it matters either way, as long as you have the right equipment for what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to do a paper portfolio, which is great, make sure that you have the right storage for it. Do you want to use binders? Do you want to use crates to keep the documents in? Accordion folders? Whatever it is, just make sure you have it handy and available and you have enough of them to house all the portfolios that you're going to create. If you're doing paper portfolios, you need to think about copies. Do you have a copy machine? If you don't, you might think about doing a digital portfolio. Or if you do have a copy machine, you're going to want to make sure that you have money in your budget for copy paper and ink and all those things that you're going to go through more than you would on a regular year. You can be really planful about this, and you don't have to end up at the end of the year and say like, oh my gosh, we blew our copy budget. You can make a plan for it. So if you're doing digital portfolios, which I highly recommend, did that in my last center, it was wonderful. You have to make sure that everyone that's going to work on a portfolio has access to a computer and a way to save their work so that it can be shared. So one of the things that we did at first was we purchased flash drives for every person that was owning the portfolio process. That way, individual teachers would email them the information, they would save it on the flash drive and it would live there. But one of my tech savvy teachers, who was one of these teachers that was managing the process, introduced us to Google Docs, and that's how we ended up continuing the work. Google Docs, Microsoft 360, there's lots of ways that you can share information and work in documents together without having to save and send and save and send. Find the way that works for you. You might be in a program where you don't have internet access. That's fine. The flash drive works just fine. If you do have great internet access, I really advise thinking about one of these online programs. Fourth tip is make sure that you have time and space for both you and teachers to do this work. So we know as educators, we didn't quite get into the field of early childhood education to do paperwork, and it might not be our favorite thing to do. But it makes it a lot easier when you have a dedicated space where your brain knows when I go in this room, this is the work that I do. It helps for the space to be kind of away from the everyday activity that's happening in the center and in the classroom, because it can get really distracting. I know for me as a director, if I was trying to do work and I saw 2-year-olds walking down the hallway, I was in that hallway with them because I was really interested in what they were doing. So finding a space that's quiet, that's separate, that can be totally dedicated to the portfolio creation process is great. Now, I also understand that space is a hot commodity in an early childhood program, so you might not have it. But trying to figure out a space where you can have a large table or some counter space or something where you can spread out and that you don't have to like recreate the situation for work every time. Time is another one of those hot commodities in early childhood programs. So, one of the things you're really going to want to think about is how can you get teachers out of the classroom so that they can really focus on this work of portfolio building that's so different from their regular work in the classroom. I mean, we all know that you're in a classroom full of children. Maybe you're not in ratio, so you're fine to be sitting and working on the portfolio work that you need to do. But when children come up and ask you questions and want to participate with you, what are you going to do? So finding a way for teachers to get out of the classroom, know that their classroom is handled, so they don't have to worry about it, and then to be able to do this work is so important. And that's why I think the year is such an important piece, because if you give yourself a year, you have time to build some budget or write some grants or something that's going to help you to be able to afford to be able to have extra hands or extra volunteers or just extra supports available for you to be able to have the people power that you need to make this work. Number 5, of course, how could I do a video about NAEYC accreditation portfolios without talking about NAEYC resources? So we have tons of resources on our website. And if you haven't taken a look, I really encourage you to go on there. There's a whole section of portfolio tools and templates available to you on the website. So the 2 that I couldn't live without when creating my portfolios were the program and the classroom portfolio tool. So basically you're going to see every item, every indicator that needs to be in your portfolios all in one place. We printed out copies of those. We carried them around with us. We scratched out when we were finished. We checked it off. We were able to then, right next to it, so-and-so is going to handle this and I'm going to handle this. I will say that that was probably the best use of paper that we had in the whole year were those tools. And then, you don't miss anything. Everybody has the same copy. You can walk through it together and just treat it like a checklist to make sure that you meet all of the indicators. If you are doing a digital portfolio, we've got tons of digital portfolio resources right now because so many people are changing their portfolios to digital because of provisional accreditation. We've created tons of resources around that. So you can find templates for digital portfolios. You can find videos on how to create and how to transition your portfolio to digital. There's even recorded webinars about how to use Google Docs, because I don't know about you all, but when I was first introduced to it, I was like, yeah, I can't use this. It's too different. Now it's all I use. So it's okay. You're learning. We're all learning, and you can learn. That's one of the great things about our brains is they can always learn new things. So definitely check out those resources. If you're still doing a paper portfolio, which I know many of you are, there's labels on there. Just print out the labels, you stick them on the paper. The labels were a great way, the first time I made a portfolio, to keep track of what I had evidence for and what I still needed evidence for, because I could visibly see the label was not on the page anymore, or it was on the page. So there's just lots of ways that you can organize your thinking around the portfolio creation that's going to help you to be successful. Above all, we are here to support you. If you have questions, reach out. You can email us, you can give us a call. We're happy to help. We want you to be successful in NAEYC accreditation because we want you to provide high quality early care and education for all of the young children across the country. Thanks for joining me today. Look for these in every program news. If you have ideas on topics that you want to know more about, shoot an email to the accreditation email account. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about. I'd love to be able to offer some insight and to be able to connect with you in this way, because I used to be exactly where you are, and it's so important to me that I get to be able to offer you some of the tools and resources that I know I would have appreciated as a director. Thanks for your time. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you next month.